Assemblymember Epstein, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Well, congratulations on finally the budget. Seems like it's done. It's wrapped.
Yeah, we'll be voting today on the last six bills. So sometime either late tonight or early tomorrow, we will all be done. Everything's printed and ready.
Wonderful, wonderful. But I'm actually checking in with you to hear about your new the things you're pursuing now, which is a run for city council. And I want to know, lately in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of movement in the assembly, meaning, a lot of people have moved on to other things for whatever reasons. It's quicker to get seniority nowadays. More seniority means better committees, better chance at leadership. Why move to the council if the city's a municipality, the state? The argument could be made that the city's beholden to the state, so you conceivably have more access to resources, to power, right? And then can do more for your district. So why move?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of reasons to move, and I'm happy to talk through them all. Like first, in the city, uh, in Albany, we do a lot of work on setting policy. We say we have a plan for affordable housing, and then we allocate funding to do it. We have a plan to make sure there's more mental health beds. We talk about discharge planning. We talk about changing systems and structures, but then we rely on the municipality, which in this case is New York City, to effectuate that change. And what I've seen in my community is while all we were passing laws, we don't see the positive impact happening in my neighborhood. We haven't seen the building of the affordable housing that we need. We haven't seen the building of supportive housing beds dealing with the mental health crisis. It requires a council member who understands how Albany works, what we need in my community to get forward and move the things that we need to forward on. A great example of this is during the pandemic, we put $200 million aside to convert hotels into supportive housing. Even though there was $200 million in state funding available for those capital projects, not a single dollar was used and not a single project got off the ground to be able to effectuate those dollars. So in the same time, like last year, we put $80 million aside for new middle income housing, but we haven't seen any of those projects move forward. I have the ability, the history, the experience to make a difference in my neighborhood, my city, and I think that I will be in a strong leadership position to do that in the council.
Assembly member, what are your top three priorities if you get elected? What day one? What are the top three things? And are there any particular committees and I mean housing, right? Sounds like housing. Any other issue areas or
Yeah.
committees you like to be on when you if you get elected? And what are your three
Yeah.
priorities on day one?
Yeah, so housing is a huge issue. We live in a city with a housing crisis. We do not build or create or preserve enough affordable housing in our city, and we need to reprioritize that. We see working class and middle class New Yorkers leaving. We saw in the last 10 years about 200,000 African American New Yorkers leaving New York City. That we're going in the wrong direction, and so the way to fix that is to create affordable housing, workforce housing, middle income housing, like we call it Mitchell the most successful housing program in the history of New York. Started 70 years ago. We built 100,000 units of middle income housing to stabilize New York City, but we haven't built a single unit in 50 years. We put money in, we need to build that kind of housing. So housing is a top priority. Mental health and really having real mental health care, we need to really revamp our system. One is who's responding to mental health issues? Like, is it your police or mental health providers? How are people getting into mental health services? How are they going to Bellevue or other mental health providers? And third is what kind of supportive housing will they have when they get out? Because if the answer is putting people back on the streets, I'm not sure what the goal is. We really want to help people stabilize and live a better future, and that requires it. And that's a big impact on public safety as well. We see 2 to 3 thousand street homeless New Yorkers who are struggling every single day. If we deal with the mental health crisis and stabilize those people, we'll see these random violent crimes go down. We'll see people off their streets. We'll see improvements of our quality of life. So this mental health issue really connects up to our public safety. Third is
Assembly.
obviously education, and
Mhm.
education is a critical piece of our system. We need to expand 2K and 3K to make sure people have access to early childhood learning. We need to make sure that young people are tested early on. So we see in our prison population, half the people who are incarcerated have a learning disability, but wasn't detected early enough. We do expand the CUNY program, make more access to CUNY and ASAP and free programs for folks. And we need to expand the trade school system. All these things together will make a stronger New York.
Assembly member, as far as back in terms of that district you're running in, Margarita Lopez, Rosie Mendez, Carlina Rivera, all Latina women. What do you say to critics that say that Assemblymember Epstein is disempowering the Latino community that has been in Loisaida for many years? What do you say to those critics? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts
Well,
on that?
I would say that the people who encouraged me to run for the seat are just those same people. Margarita Lopez and Rosie Mendez, two real champions that held the seat for 20 years, are the ones who said, we want you to be in this council seat. They were there from day one when I announced my election, and they've been some of my strongest supporters. So those women who know the neighborhood well, who, helped lead our community, are saying, Harvey's the person we need in this seat. So it isn't just about a Latina seat. It's about like having strong leadership and to create opportunities for people who in our community, who know our community, who will fight our community. And that's what Margarita and Rosie say every single day.
Talk about some of your endorsements, some of the more prominent ones that you have, Assembly member.
Yeah, well, on the elected side on endorsements, it's elected officials like the Congress members, former Congress member Carol Maloney, Dan Goldman, Jerry Nadler. On the state electeds, it's overlaps with Senator Kristen Gonzalez, Brad Hoylman. We have Assembly members Deborah Glick and Grace Lee and Tony Simone, council members Eric Botcher and Keith Powers. All these electeds who surround the neighborhood, on top of dozens of all other elected officials, almost every single night to tenant leader and district leader in the district have endorsed me. And then the unions have been a really strong partner, whether and including the Labor Strong Coalition, which includes five unions, 1199, 32BJ, DC 37, um, carpenters, the PSC CUNY, the, yeah, sorry, the Central Labor Council. The list is long, and including community-based organizations like Tenants Back, who are fighting for tenants' rights, Citizen Action, Equality New York, Stonewall. 504 Democrats, Tilden Democrats. We have Code MI Club. Uh, Village Independent Democrats, Downtown Democrats. So I've got seven clubs who endorsed, dozens of elected leaders, and dozens and dozens of community-based organizations and unions who are standing strong with my campaign. So if 32BJ and DC 37 and 1199 are all saying Harvey's our champion, it's meaningful to have everyone together behind me in this race.
Assembly member, any up the ballot endorsements, across endorsements? Manhattan Borough President, City Comptroller. There's a
Yeah,
mayor's race. There's a public advocate's race. Do you have any? Again, any working? Are you endorsing? Vice versa.
yeah, like the but Jamani Williams has endorsed my race, the public advocate. I'm happy to support him in his reelection. I've endorsed the borough president, Mark Levine, who's also endorsed me in my race for controller. I've not endorsed in the mayor's race
How
yet,
about the Manhattan
but
Borough President's race?
I have not endorsed the Manhattan Borough president. I have a strong relationship with both Senator Hoylman and Councilmember Powers, and Senator Hoylman and Councilman Powers. They both endorsed me, and I think they're, obviously huge champions for Manhattan. And I look forward to my continue to work with both of them.
Assemblymember, what are your thoughts on former Congressmember Weiner throwing his hat in the ring? What are your thoughts? Do you think there's or an opportunity to give people second, third chances? Or you just like, hey, I'm focused on my race? What are your thoughts on him re-entering
I
or
mean,
trying to get back in the
yeah,
political arena?
everyone has a right to run for any single race they want to be involved in. I believe in democracy and letting the voters decide.
Right, Assemblymember. I don't want to keep you long. Any other things or you want to mention in terms of this race? Who are you working with? Consultants? Who's running your campaign?
Yeah, so we have a strong field operation. We have it's a small team because these city council races are maxed with matching funds. But we have a good consultants with momentum and Trip Yang Associates. They've been really powerful. We have also had a large volunteer operation with hundreds of volunteers. When the petition came, we filed over 5,000 signatures, almost double every single other campaign who filed petitions. We have a real coordinated effort in my district, and I feel very optimistic. We're knocking on thousands of doors, talking to tens of thousands of people, having events, talking to neighbors, really pushing our values and our beliefs. And I'm a well-known person. Majority of my assembly district overlaps with this council district. These are folks who've been voting for me over the last 5 terms. Just even last November, I got 43,000 votes. So even just if a quarter of those people were to come out and vote for me this June, in a race where they expect me at most 25,000 votes, I'm well positioned to win this race.
The one thing that I want to bring up when you talk about housing and the NYCHA in general. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on NYCHA and how can the council? I know it's got it. The issue, one of the many issues of NYCHA has been that the federal funding has not been where it needs to be, right, because of a myriad of political reasons. What are your thoughts on what the council, you if you're elected to the council, can do for NYCHA residents? And I know
Yeah.
you
So
have a
night.
lot of NYCHA in the district.
Yeah, so I have plans on this. I have a housing plan, which is on my website, peopleforharvey.com. Talk a lot about the needs for public housing. We really can't rely on the federal government anymore. We need to invest on the city and state level and capital dollars to invest in public housing. And we don't need to do it overnight because, this you can't have it, you can't do the work that needs to be happening overnight. We need to have a regular, steady investment in public housing, like we've done in Albany. We've invested almost $1.5 billion in the last seven budgets, which is I've been proud to champion to ensure that there's money going to NYCHA to do the capital work they need to do. We need to make sure the city is a partner in doing it as well, and making sure that the tenants who are need repairs done are getting those improvements. We can't continue to spend insufficiently on public housing, thinking that federal government is going to solve our problem. We have to solve it for ourselves. For the over 400,000 New Yorkers that are living in public housing, it is our responsibility. NYCHA is the worst landlord in New York City, and people should not continue to suffer. The city has the ability to do something by really investing in public housing, and that's what I'm committed to do. We can use weatherization money, we can use other resources to do it, to make sure that we do upgrades that are in compliance with the Climate Leadership and Continuing Protection Act. But there is no excuse for the city to not continue to invest deeply in public housing.
Assembly member, your three proudest moments in the assembly thus far as an elected.
My three proudest moments. There's been a lot of bills. I've been lucky to pass over 50 meaningful bills that have been signed into law and work on lots of issues. I think some of the proudest moments, like early in the session, is that in 2019, after the Democrats took the Senate back, when we took the Senate back, we had passed a whole host of legislative victories. Um, including reproductive rights, climate leadership, environmental issues, housing. Those are all critical. I think from my personal involvement was the 2019 housing laws that we passed, which preserve rent stabilized housing and protected tenants all over the state. Really proud moment in June of 2019. I think also there's some other really, really critical victories. I think investing deeply in reproductive care and fighting for reproductive health has been amazing. Really funding our schools through our commitment to foundation aid and really turning around what had been the deeply underfunding of our public education and creating systems and structures in place to reduce class sizes and provide funding across our state. And this year, resetting the formula to make sure the formula really deals with English language learners and people who live in temporary housing. I think these are critical victories. But I think I've been fortunate this is my eighth session in Albany to have really hundreds and hundreds of really huge victories. Even just last week, we passed medical aid in dying. The Climate Leadership Community Protection Act I mentioned earlier. There's so many bills that we passed around, electric vehicles, making chargers, moving forward with composting. Each area, the state legislature has moved forward on environmental justice, housing justice, educational justice, protecting consumers. I think I've been really fortunate and proud to have done the work that I've done in Albany. I really look forward to taking that leadership role in the city council starting next year.
What are three things you would do over?
What are three things I would do over? I think sometimes when we take big swings at things, I think sometimes people aren't ready to join us. And I think some of the things that I thought were really great, like reforming the bail system, was totally broken. That was a big swing, and I think we had some clawbacks on that because I think we took, people weren't along for what we're trying to do. I think some of those mistakes resulted in some. Um, progression. I wish sometimes we've been a little more methodical, and I've learned that being more methodical helps people join you and understand why you're trying to do it, and doing a better job educating the public on what you're getting done. So you don't have that reaction and kind of the rollbacks of the victories we've had.
Last pitch to the voters, Assembly member, please. Why should they vote for Harvey Epstein and not the others in the race? And we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that they want someone who's got knows how to get things done, who's got plans, who knows what we need to change and can actually get it done, who has the relationships and the ability to do it, and has passed legislation and know how to get that done, who's been involved in the city council for years. I'm the candidate, and I look forward to winning this election and having people stand with me for District 2 for New York City.
Assembly member, best of luck to you and continued success. And I'll let you get on with the business of the people. All right. Talk soon.
Thank you.
All
Talk to you
right.
soon. Take
All
care.
right. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.